It's the Unhappy Hour.
Broadcasting to you live from the Milky Way Galaxy, this is the Unhappy Hour on the New American Media. My name is Brian Engelman, and we are going to give you the fastest NBA free agency recap for 2019 possible, according to... I guess I should have had it queued up if I wanted to be as fast as possible. Anyhow, according to Mark Stein, this is the wildest day one ever in NBA free agent history. We're going to go through some of the moves. Kevin Durant is going to sign his maximum contract with the Brooklyn Nets. Kyrie Irving is going to join him, and so does DeAndre Jordan. DeAndre Jordan, man, he was part of that big three with Chris Paul and Blake Griffin. That just didn't work. It's not easy to win a championship, guys. It's really not easy to do this. Kemba Walker is leaving Charlotte, and he's going to the Boston Celtics. Knicks did not get any big names, so they got Julius Randle and Taj Gibson instead. What's up, Joe Meyer? If you guys have questions in the chat room, please let me know. If you're watching on this camera, it's on Facebook. It's a private group. It's called The Unhappy Hour Sports Show, a support group. So find it, The Unhappy Hour Sports Show. Find it, join it. It's on Facebook. And then within there, we have Strictly Browns, Strictly Indians, Strictly Cavaliers, where we break Strictly Buckeyes, where we break down the individual sports. So join us on that medium. It's probably where the most day-to-day activity occurs. However, we also have the YouTube channel, youtube.com/TheNewAmericanMedia. That's where we're hosting our sports videos for now, but we've also started a new channel. We'll link the videos there so you can find us. Anyhow, Jimmy Butler moving on to the Miami Heat as part of a sign and trade, sending Josh Richardson to Philly. So then D'Angelo Russell going to the Golden State Warriors, 4 years, $117 million. Andre Iguodala is out. He's going to the Memphis Grizzlies through a trade. Al Horford, formerly of the Hawks, then of the Celtics of the past couple seasons, is now going to be joining the Philadelphia 76ers for 4 years, $97 million guaranteed, $12 million in bonuses. Trevor Ariza is leaving. He's going to the Sacramento Kings, 2 years, $25 million. Al Farouk Aminu, Orlando Magic, 3 years, $29 million. Jeremy Lamb, Indiana Pacers, 3 years, $31.5 million. Ricky Rubio, Phoenix Suns, 3 years, $51 million. Garrett Temple to the Nets, 2 years, $10 million. Thaddeus Young on the Bulls, 3 years, $41 million. Dwayne Dedmon, Sacramento Kings, 3 years, $41 million. Malcolm Brogdon, Indiana Pacers, 4 years, $85 million. Bobby Portis to the Knicks, 3 years, $31 million. Daniel House, Houston Rockets, 3 years, $11 million. Bojan, I've heard that name pronounced a million ways. Bogdanović to the Utah Jazz for 4 years, $73 million. J.J. Redick, the sharpshooter, is going to be making $26.5 million over 2 years with the New Orleans Pelicans. Damari Carroll will be on the Spurs for 2 years, $13 million. Derek Favors on the New Orleans Pelicans. They are rounding out a roster of players down there. Maybe not super high, big name, big dollar, big ticket, big contract players. But I think they're rounding out that team into a solid core of veteran leadership. Let's watch General Manager David Griffin, what he's putting together down there. It's just very interesting to see how you build a team from sport to sport. The players obviously play a big role. LeBron has created big threes multiple times down in Miami, over in Cleveland. Been trying to get it in Los Angeles. Failed last year. Got at least Anthony Davis this year, and maybe more. Let's see what happens with Kawhi Leonard, because this show is all about all things non-Kawhi Leonard. Derek Favors to the Pelicans. Robin Lopez joining his brother in the Milwaukee Bucks for 2 years. Hassan Whiteside will now be on the Portland Trail Blazers. Look out for the Trail Blazers. Derrick Rose, 2 years, $15 million on the Pistons. Klay Thompson re-ups for 5 years, $190 million. With the Golden State Warriors. Damian Lillard has extended his contract with the Blazers. Harrison Barnes, Sacramento Kings, 4 years, $85 million. Dwight Powell, Dallas Mavericks, 3 years, $33 million. Chris Middleton, Milwaukee Bucks, $178 million over 5 years. Rodney Hood, Portland Trail Blazers, 2 years, $16 million. Jamal Murray, Denver Nuggets extension. Mike Scott, Sixers, 2 years, $9.8 million. Kristaps Porzingis, 5 years, $158 million extension down in Dallas. Ben Simmons, extension with the Sixers. Terrence Ross, Magic, 4 years, $54 million. Patrick Beverley, Clippers, 3 years, $40 million. Tobias Harris, 5 years, $180 million on the Philadelphia 76ers. Jonas Valanciunas, 3 years, Grizzlies, $45 million. Nikola Vucevic, Magic, 4 years, $100 million. George Hill and Brook Lopez, the Milwaukee Bucks. What do you think about the moves? Who do you like? Who are the top 5 teams? Who do you like what they've done the most? Who are the low 5 teams? Who do you think failed worse than the Knicks? Okay, give the Knicks number 1. Who are the 4 other teams that just kind of like, what are you doing? Swinging and missing. Leave your thoughts. We're going to split this up in post-production as a separate segment, but for now, we're going to bring in NBA scout. This is Zak Baris. He used to work as an NBA scout. And he's a lifetime Cleveland sports fan. We've been talking about the Indians, Cavs, Browns, Buckeyes on here for about 7 years, so let's bring him into the program. Shall we? I think we shall. Type your comments below if you're on the Facebook group. And if you're watching later on YouTube, please do the same. There we go.
Hey, Brian.
Hey, Zach. Welcome back, man. It's not like it's been a busy couple of days or anything. How have you been, sir?
Been good, just busy.
Oh, there we go. All right, gotcha. Well, it has been a busy couple of days, and I wanted to bring you back in, mentioning you used to do scouting. Just remind us, because we're doing free agency period, and I know that there's a scouting process for free agents. Did you ever participate in that angle, or were you asked to provide reports on free agents?
Yeah, I did. But here's the thing: is you have to look and see where the best fits are. For your team in free agency. Scouts don't have any input on the contract, so that's where the general manager comes into play, and in the front office, and they get everything done on that end.
But did you ever get a list of free agents and be like, hey, out of this game footage, where would you rank these guys? What do you think, to kind of like pick your brains? Was that a regular occurrence, or not so much?
People are always watching film, but again, there's not always points where you need to. You always want to see how they're going to, fit and how you can implement them into your offense, your defense. How a guy's going to fit with a certain player. It's like with LeBron. Apparently the Cavs department and the Heat department got it right when they're like, okay, we need to surround him with shooters. The Lakers last year just tried to surround him with guys who'd get to the basket and who couldn't shoot. That was just bad scouting. It's a bad take by the front office, a bad take by the whole front office. You don't know what input the scouts have, though. If that was just all on Magic and Rob Pelinka last year, that's where it comes into play. This year, it seems like they're going after the big stars first. They're trying to chase, they already got Anthony Davis, and sounds like they're pretty close to getting Kawhi Leonard. And if that's the case, then they can really surround him with whoever they want at that point.
Yeah, and that might be exactly what's going on. I think the Clippers didn't really do a lot to help themselves. Their roster just isn't competitive. If it were Kawhi coming with Kyrie, Kawhi coming with KD, or teaming up with, pick your player. I don't really see what the Clippers do at this point. I think it's down to a 2-team race. Am I off?
Here's the thing with the Clippers, is my impression of the Clippers. The Clippers had every opportunity to go in there to get 2 max contracts in there. They had a formidable roster. They're a good team. They were a playoff team. And I think they looked at it and said, listen, we're a playoff team who can currently add 2 max contracts to our roster. We can go from playoffs. We can go to, being a championship team. Well, they failed to land Kyrie. They failed to land Durant. They failed to land anyone. And now if you're Kawhi Leonard going, okay, without me, the Raptors are a fringe playoff team, maybe a playoff team. With me, they're a championship contender. We'll win the East. If I go to the Clippers, I now have to compete with the Warriors, who now have established themselves with D'Angelo Russell. And D'Angelo Russell's a 1-year rental for the Warriors. Who they're still going to be a competitive team, obviously, with Steph. Probably not as good, obviously. But you never know. But what I'm saying is, though, you still have to deal with the Lakers with LeBron and Anthony Davis. You still have to deal with a lot on that end. So the West is much harder. So if you're Kawhi right now, I think it's down to the Raptors and I think the Lakers. And you need to take a look. Well, if I go to the Lakers, is that what I want to do? Do I want to team up with LeBron? I think the only hesitancy there would be, nobody's going to insult Kawhi for the rest of his career. The guy won a championship without other, max superstars. He did it without a Kyrie Irving. He did it without a Steph Curry. He did it without San Antonio. And he won the Finals MVP. I don't think anybody's going to sit there and give Kawhi any BS if he joins the Lakers. It's not going to be as bad is Durant joining the Warriors because Durant had never won before. Kawhi's already won 2 Finals MVPs. He's beaten LeBron in the Finals, and he's beaten the Warriors in the Finals. I know the Warriors weren't healthy, but he still beat them. So I think if Kawhi goes to the Lakers, I think you're going to have 3 straight championships if that's the case, playing alongside LeBron and Anthony Davis. As long as LeBron is healthy, I don't see that team winning less than 60, 65 games.
Well, let's think about that too, because if LeBron would not need to be as aggressive as he would normally have to be if you have AD. AD's in his physical peak, his physical prime, and you have a crafty Kawhi Leonard that can step up on defense. I mean, he wouldn't have to exert himself the way he was doing for the Cavs.
That's the thing is you could put LeBron defensively. LeBron doesn't have to match up against the best player. That's for Kawhi and Anthony Davis to do. Right. Because Kawhi can play multiple positions. Anthony Davis can play the 4 and the 5. LeBron can play the 1 through 5, and so can Kawhi. He can realistically defend the 1 through 5. Kawhi can. That's how good he is defensively. You can put Kawhi on anyone, he can defend the position. Really, you want him defending anywhere from point guard to power forward, but he can defend anyone. So I think the Lakers, if they do get Kawhi, I think it's game over. I actually think that team would beat a healthy Warriors team with Kevin Durant. That you're putting 3 of the 4, 3 of the 5 best players on the floor at one time between Davis, LeBron, and Kawhi. I think you have 3 of the top 4 players right there. Everyone outside of the name Kevin Durant. I think you have 3 of the top 4 players in the NBA, and I think you witnessed what the Warriors did with, Draymond. Okay, Anthony Davis is better than Draymond, and you're putting LeBron and Kawhi on the same team. I mean, my God. If I'm Kawhi, my only hesitancy is, do I want to deal with the media backlash or do I want to deal with being, with the Lakers? I think that's the only question right now. And if Kawhi doesn't go to the Lakers aren't screwed because the Warriors aren't going to be nearly as competitive this year. We already know that without Durant. I don't think the West is nearly as difficult as it was. But still, you still want to fill them in with better players than just minimum contracts and mid-levels. You've already lost out on Bogdanovich. Derek Favors already signed in Utah. J.J. Redick already signed in New Orleans. It's not like there's a ton. Derek Favors is going to New Orleans, it sounds like. It doesn't sound like there's a ton of talent left on the market. So if the Lakers don't get Kawhi, it's going to be very interesting. That's why I tend to think that, I think Kawhi will wind up with the Lakers. I'd like to see him return to Toronto. But, just because I have nothing against LeBron. I just hate the Lakers. Brian, you live out in L.A. You know how annoying their fans are.
Yeah, I've had a really hard time with this process. I've loved LeBron his first time around. I hated him in Miami. I loved him and embraced him when he won a title for the Cavs, and probably would have been a 4-year back-to-back dynasty, except for the Golden State Warriors, the only thing that could have gotten in the way of that, actually. And now, with the Lakers, having lived in Los Angeles for 15 years and never cheering for Kobe and Shaq, never, those years, they were always the hated Lakers. But this time around, it's almost like I'm quasi-interested in just watching it, and I'm a little more appreciative of the Cavaliers' title, knowing what KD and the Warriors had to do to smash that in Cleveland. Otherwise, LeBron might have played for the last 10 years in Cleveland and never left and just dominated the NBA like Otto Graham for the Cleveland Browns in the NFL. So, yeah, it's a complicated story for me. I don't know what I'm rooting for necessarily.
I like LeBron. I don't, I just have this genuine dislike for the Lakers. I've always have. Mm-hmm. It's the cockiness, the arrogance, the wine and cheese crowd at the games. I've been to so many Lakers games. The fans just don't get into it. They don't care. It's, there's no noise. The quietest arena I've ever heard in the NBA. And that's at a playoff game. It just doesn't get loud in there. It's almost stagnant. It's like, okay, we've done this so many times. Where it's the exact opposite in Boston, though. I feel like, Boston has a ton of titles. Boston even has one more than the Lakers. Right. But you listen to Boston, it's as loud as can be. I'll just say this. Boston has a much better fan base, way more passionate than L.A. And personally, I hate Boston sports, too. Yeah. I hate the Celtics, but they have a much more passionate fan base than the Lakers do.
Now, I would say there's a lot of people like us, Zach, who are coming from one of the non-Big Ten. I'm sorry, let me change how I'm phrasing this. There's a lot of people out there like us, Zach, who are coming from mid-markets as our favorite teams growing up, and so we instinctively root against the Yankees and the Dodgers and the Red Sox. We root against the Patriots and the Lakers.
The Dodgers. It's literally the Red Sox. They have I just can't stand Boston as a sports fan. It's a hell of a sports fan. Yeah, am I jealous? I'm not from Boston sometimes. Yeah, I am. I'd love to have 12 championships at the age of 16,
yeah,
17.
Who wouldn't? Of course. That's what I want our city to be with Baker Mayfield. That's where LeBron was taking it until KD and the Warriors did what they did. That was in the cards for the Cleveland Cavaliers for the next decade. With Kyrie Irving, with it all set up, with Kevin Love, this was going to be the destination for it to happen, except for what KD did with the Warriors. Because the Warriors had no chance of beating us on a regular basis unless we were injured. They had no chance. They didn't do it in 2015. They took two of our stars being injured for them to pull off the championship. We got him in 2016. LeBron has his stuff figured out. If he's not the only one going up against these guys on his own, he can take them down. I'm just curious if the Lakers now with LeBron will have what it takes to take down these other big teams like the Bucks, the Sixers, the Trailblazers, the Jazz.
I think the Bucks. I think the Trailblazers are good. I don't think the Trailblazers are great. They added Hassan Whiteside. Fantastic. But, again, if the Lakers have Kawhi Leonard, I don't think there's any competition. I mean, I think you might see the first 16-0 team in the playoffs.
Oh, yeah, I mean, absolutely. I don't know how anybody could think any differently, having, like you said, 3 of the top 5 best players in the NBA, something like that. It's not really debatable. And I think you're going to see Steph Curry get exposed for what he is. I think you're going to see a lot of things happen this season. And I wanted to do this, a couple of more points about what's going on with the Lakers and then what's going on with the Warriors, but I definitely want to get to the Nets. Really quick, talking about the Golden State Warriors, why wouldn't Russell just wait to see what happens with Kawhi before he signs, knowing that he would have maybe more leverage to get a better deal? Now, and why is he considered just a 1-year rental?
You got a max deal.
Just take the money when you can, but you still think he's a 1-year rental?
I think no. He got a 4-year deal. I just don't think Golden State's not going to be paying a max guy to come off the bench. And let's be realistic. In a year from now, when Klay Thompson comes back healthy,
and so
he's not going to be coming off the bench. They're going to trade him, and they're going to move him for a piece where they feel like they can get some more. They're going to trade him. Mark my words on that one.
Is it possible that they might be willing to let... Isn't Draymond Green coming up for a contract?
Green will resign, I bet.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible, absolutely, but there's that other flip side of maybe they are moving on. They got rid of Andre Iguodala. I mean, he's an aging...
Iguodala's also like 35 years old.
Yeah.
If they just signed Kevon Looney, though, I tend to think that the Warriors, Bob Myers knows what he's doing in this situation. And I tend to think that they're going to wind up trading D'Angelo Russell after a year for a big man or for a small forward, who they can bring in there. I think that's more realistic of a scenario. But for now, they need D'Angelo Russell with Klay Thompson out.
Right.
No, he runs a lot of pick and roll. Something Draymond excels in. I think you're going to see a lot of that out of the Warriors. I think you're going to see a much different Warriors team this year. There is no Durant. There is no, you have no Durant. You have no Klay Thompson. You're replacing him essentially with D'Angelo Russell. You also lost Iguodala. It's going to be a different Warriors team. This is not the same Warriors team that's going to be marching on. I don't expect this Warriors team to be in the championship. Do I think it's possible? Yes. If Kawhi stays in the East and stays at Toronto, yes, I think it's very possible that Golden State winds up in the finals. If Kawhi winds up in the West and back with the Lakers, then there's absolutely no way any other team's in the finals this year other than LA, unless LA is strictly just beat up and injured. But I don't see Denver, Houston, any of those teams having a shot if Kawhi Leonard goes there. I think this is just as good of a championship, book it down, as the 2017 and the 2018 Warriors of winning.
Well, if there was one perfect season, one perfect opportunity for the Los Angeles Lakers and LeBron James specifically to put together an all-star cast, I suppose it would be during the offseason where Space Jam 2 is occurring. I mean, could this thing have been that far scripted out that Kawhi coming to the Lakers is kind of going to be a done deal, in that when this happens, it's going to mirror what's happening in NBA in that movie, in Space Jam 2, do you think that that's part of it, to elevate all of their brands and they're all going to star in the movie, and that's something additional that the Clutch brand athletes can make as revenue?
I don't think Kawhi's in Space Jam 2.
Okay. Well, if he ended up on that team, maybe they could make some room for him, perhaps. All the scenes aren't shot, right? They're still filming, aren't they?
Yeah.
Okay. I think they could reshoot a few scenes. But anyway, it's just interesting to see with that. Do you think Kevin Durant was unappreciated? That's what Kendrick Perkins is saying. Was he unappreciated up in Golden State with the Warriors, do you think?
I think towards the end, yes. I mean, I don't think people ever gave him the credit where it was due until you saw the finals when they really struggled without him. But, I mean, let's not forget if Durant wouldn't have been there, odds are that the Cavaliers, like you said, would have probably had 2 more titles.
Yep. Absolutely.
And who knows if Golden State would have been in the next 2 without Durant? Would that have been Houston?
Right. Very good point. Could the Thunder? Yeah, I mean, just the Thunder could have made it if he wouldn't have swung over there. And then you would have had another KD, LeBron. It's interesting to replay how the league could be set up. But
Durant could have gone to Houston. He could have gone to Houston.
You're right. Hey, look, I'm interested to see how it shakes out, but one of the most interesting cities is the Brooklyn Nets. They were the clear winners yesterday, but part of me wants to just pump the brakes and say, fine, you got 2 of the biggest names, understood, got it. But let's look at it from the part. The Nets are really moving all of their chips into the middle on a guy like Kyrie Irving, who's had chemistry issues in the locker room, with the teams, with the front office, with the key players, over and over, and with KD coming off an Achilles.
The Nets were essentially the Clippers of the East, okay? They were a playoff team, good depth, talented roster, good young talent, who's really done a good job drafting late in the first round over the last couple of years. They really have done an unbelievable job after Billy King screwed them, with that Pierce trade. But to think that they've gotten back there with developing their own talent for the most part, with developing guys like Jared Allen, Rondae Hollis Jefferson, they've gotten there because of good talent development. And they're one of those rosters now, that was a playoff team last year. Yes, Kyrie Irving is better than D'Angelo Russell. There's no doubt about that. If Durant can get healthy, and the problem is now, is that Durant does not get back healthy. Achilles injuries are not easy to heal from. A lot of guys don't recover from them. But if Durant doesn't come back, and he's not his old self, it's going to be a long 4 years for the Nets. If Durant is able to come back healthy, odds are that the Nets will win an Eastern Conference championship, and probably multiple ones. Because don't forget, you're taking a 41-team. Kyrie Irving is better than D'Angelo Russell. Okay, we know that.
Right.
It's not a secret.
Yeah, and so that's what you would have in New Jersey. It's a high risk, high reward, and it's an interesting move, but it's kind of cool with the new logo, with the new city, with the new arena, with the new young vibes. I was hearing, I forget who it was, or else I'd credit him, but someone was talking about how that franchise is really working in the neighborhoods and the community to kind of like get the kids, big time into becoming Brooklyn Nets fans, and that's how you build a sustainable franchise fan base. Something that a lot of the other NBA teams aren't quite doing to that level. And Kyrie coming back home, you have this feeling that the street ball player is going to be playing street ball under the lights of this brand new, completely redesigned image of what the Brooklyn Nets are, and I could see the black and white commercials for days on this, because he's got one of the sickest set of hands that you've ever seen in NBA history with Kyrie Irving. I mean, it's showtime in the East Coast. It's kind of exciting.
But look at the Knicks. Look at a franchise that just opened up 2 max cap slots, just not 2 months ago we were talking about RJ Barrett. We were talking about Zion Williamson, Kyrie and Durant going there.
Right.
Now they're at RJ Barrett, Julius Randle, and, in filler pieces. This is a joke.
Yeah. And, I mean, losing Zion made a big, big, big difference. Because if the Lakers don't jump in that draft lottery, why would the Pelicans deal him to Los Angeles? Like, everything hinges on these key moments, and then the ripple effects, the butterfly effect just spans to every other team, the cascading
we were
impact.
also trying Anthony Davis to the Knicks, but the Knicks, because, look at the Knicks. The Knicks traded Kristaps Porzingis to be able to get, listen to this, the Knicks traded Porzingis to be able to open up another max slot. And, and then they couldn't even use Porzingis in a Davis trade.
And they lost out on that. They couldn't anchor those players together. Yeah, I mean, imagine how much things would be different if they were able to anchor those players. Now, of course, the other team needs to want them, and until David Griffin really.
Trust me, if the Knicks had Davis and they would have traded, let's say, Porzingis in the third pick for Davis, that would have gone a lot further than the Lakers trade.
Yeah.
And then you would have seen, okay, Anthony Davis, maybe Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving all in New York with the Knicks. But, the Knicks it's just every time the Knicks do something, they're the Knicks for a reason. James Dolan's messed up every single time. James Dolan needs to take a good, hard look in the mirror now that this team has not been able to do anything.
They're that much of a dumpster fire, says Greg Moore, chiming in. It's stunning. Do the Knicks continue with James Dolan at the helm? Do they have the ability to force?
Does he sell the team or not? Does he want to sell the team? That's the question. I think no.
Yeah, I guess it either comes down to board of directors members who appoint someone to run it, or you have the owner that can make every single move that he wants, and you can have 30 years of futility, or maybe 20. I don't know how far you want to go back. Maybe Patrick Ewing and John Starks, probably. Anthony Mason, those days. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the Nets. I think it's a high risk, high reward. I think the Knicks were the biggest losers. Were there any other teams you saw as the biggest losers in this free agency period? Obviously, the Cavaliers were not players.
So far, the Cavs haven't done anything.
What's that?
I mean, you haven't seen Cleveland do anything. They can't even get rid of J.R. Smith's contract yet.
Yeah, what is going on with the J.R. Smith contract? Why did we extend that for $500,000 for 6 more months? Why can't we move this?
Because they're trying to get rid of him so they can open up, so they can at least get a pick or an expiring contract that, a contract to take on and acquire extra picks. And they just haven't been able to do that. And honestly, it's just, the Cavaliers are not focusing on free agents this year. They still need to suck next year. You want to retain that pick, so you're picking within that top 10 so you don't convey that pick to New Orleans as part of that Hawks trade, for Kyle Korver. You don't want to do that. And I think the Cavaliers just sorely lack talent right now, and they got to be able to. One of the reasons they want to be able to keep J.R. Smith for now is so they can trade his contract, be able to acquire another first-round pick in it. You need to start stockpiling assets again for trades, because odds are you're not going to be able to build yourself for free agency. If you're the Cavs, you're going to have to be able to get some of these guys through trades and be able to, acquire players through trades. And you're not, like I said, you're not a free agent destination right now. You've got an owner that's not even with the team right now, who just had a stroke and is in an inpatient rehab facility. It's not like the Cavaliers are walking into the best situation. People, it's a tough situation to walk into right now.
It is. Would you be able to grade Kobe Altman and what you've seen him do and what you've seen him not do?
No, I don't think you can grade him yet.
Nothing even preliminary? I don't know. I feel like our draft turned out pretty good. Maybe it will, maybe it won't.
Yeah.
That'll be time. But that
Brian,
shooter
we don't
that
know
we
how
got.
the draft turned out. We really won't know how the draft turned out. Let's wait and see how the season plays out. Right now they've drafted 3 names that mean nothing.
Very true.
As far as, let's not forget, when the Knicks first drafted Porzingis with all the booing, everybody was like, wow, the Knicks effed up.
Uh-huh.
And now look at, and then you look at it, and then Porzingis was great. So like, okay, well, they got the steal of the draft. Phil Jackson did a great job getting Porzingis. But, other than that, though, look at it. You can never tell. The Lakers hit a home run with Lonzo Ball, and now he's not even in the Lakers uniform anymore. The Lakers hit a home run with Brandon Ingram, no longer in a Lakers uniform.
Yeah. No, you're very right about that. I guess I'm watching that Windler kid play a little bit more, and I'm liking him more and more.
It's summer league. It means nothing, though. Playing against a bunch of crappy rookies.
That is fair. The range on this dude is sick, though. From what I've seen at every level he's been at, I've seen him with range, and he's got a lot of movement. So I'm liking that in theory. But yeah, obviously we're not going to know. It's just I think this year coming up with Tristan Thompson and probably Dellavedova, some of these other players, we will have contracts that are going to start expiring, and maybe it's going to be a busy mid-season for the Cavs. Maybe dealing the players in the middle of the year and doing some more wheeling and dealing at that point if we're really trying to make sure we're at the bottom so we don't lose that draft pick. Obviously, that would be awful. So who are your clear-cut winners? What we already discussed a few that, obviously the Lakers improved. Obviously, Golden State did what they did and the Nets did what they did. Who else are you a fan of the moves that you've seen? What other teams are doing well?
I like what Miami did. Getting Jimmy Butler, I think it was good. I still don't think they're a real hard contender. I love what Philadelphia did after losing Butler. By retaining Tobias Harris, by getting Al Horford, by getting Richardson from the Heat, I think that Philadelphia has done a good job, and I was shocked to see. I think Boston's a loser. You don't lose Kyrie, Al Horford, and Terry Rozier in free agency. Replace them with Kemba Walker and expect to be a better team.
Right. Well, this is the continuing legacy of Danny Ainge. We anoint these people as.
I think the Celtics are still a very good team.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me wrong. Oh, and they lost Aaron Baines too.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Celtics are still a very good team, but I don't think they're better than they were a year ago.
They are different. They're very different. But there's no accounts that are going to say that the Kyrie Irving experiment went smooth. To the injury on the first year and then. The change in team chemistry in the second year. All right, so those are a few. As far as the Hornets, what do you see going on there? As far as what they lost and what they got back, what kind of swap was this?
The Hornets wind up with Rozier. He's going to score a lot of points. He'll put up big numbers, but the Hornets are going to stink.
Right. Same situation.
But Kemba's a far superior player than Terry Rozier. I think Indiana getting Malcolm Brogdon was a big home run for them.
Right.
I think the huge loss for Milwaukee, but Milwaukee did retain Chris Middleton.
With Brogdon, remind me, what kind of player is Brogdon? What's he going to bring, and what are the Bucks
He's a
losing?
good defensive player. Milwaukee was a much better player when he was on the floor, both offensively and defensively. Remember when he wasn't healthy in the playoffs, Milwaukee wasn't the same team.
So he's one of those energy guys, one of the people the glue stitching it all together that might not show up, but he's setting the picks, he's getting the rebounds, he's in the right spots, he's impacting the team with the plus minus, which allows the superstars to do their superstar stuff, something like that.
Yep.
So the Pacers, who do you put as the top couple teams in the East now? Who are the top four? Who would host a first round home game?
Well, I think it's still too early to tell because, once again, the Raptors, we don't know anything until Kawhi Leonard. But let's just assume Leonard's a Raptor for now. Okay? Let's just assume.
Let's say if he is a Raptor, if he's not. If he is a Raptor, they're the prohibitive favorites to come back?
We'll do it. If he's a Raptor, they're the favorites in the East. Toronto's the favorites in the East. Second would be, Brooklyn's not healthy. Durant's not healthy, so I don't put that one at, number 2 or anything. If the Nets were healthy, I'd put them at 1 or 2, but they're not, with Durant having an Achilles injury. Mm-hmm. So I still say that Milwaukee's the second best team in the East. I think that Philadelphia's 3rd and Boston's 4th.
Okay, so in order, you said that was Raptors, Bucks, Celtics. What order was it?
I think regular season, though, I think you might see Milwaukee as the best.
76ers. Okay. All right. Are there any other?
But those are the top 4 teams in the East. And then if the Nets, in a year from now when Durant comes back, then, the Nets, if they're healthy, a different story.
Okay. And those are the main contenders, those 5 teams, give or take, over the next year or two that you see in the East?
Yep.
All right. Now in the West, I guess we obviously know the Lakers are going to be the number 1. And they'd be in the top five.
The Lakers without Kawhi are not number one.
In top five without him?
Yeah, they're still up there.
Okay.
I mean, but they don't have the rest of the roster filled out right now. They don't have anybody other than LeBron and AD. That's the problem. They don't have anyone.
A lot of people say you don't need it. A lot of people say you just need some spot shooters.
They need another star.
Okay.
They need someone. They missed out on Kemba. They missed out on Kyrie. If they missed out on Kawhi, this free agency is at a loss for them.
Russell.
Landon Davis is not enough to combat that. It's just not.
Mm-hmm.
Davis not. I think Houston's a loser so far in free agency too. They didn't wind up with Jimmy Butler. They didn't wind up with anyone more. He didn't work his magic yet. I think it's still too early to tell. Just because there's so many unanswered pieces. We obviously know Denver's going to be a very good team. But is Denver sustainable in the playoffs? No, I don't think so. Yet I think Denver is a very good team. Is Houston a good team as of right now? Yes. But Houston's trying to make moves as well. Are the Trailblazers up there? Yes. They just added Hassan Whiteside. Are the Blazers going to be a team? Yes, we know that. Are the Thunder going to do what the Thunder do every year? Yes. They're gonna have a decent regular season, make the playoffs, and then lose. We know what they're gonna do. The question is, what if the Lakers control everything right now of who comes out of the West? The Lakers don't. Is it Houston or Golden State or Denver that comes out of the West? Or are the Lakers good enough with no other players in the roster filling a bunch of mid-level contracts on their roster and bringing guys to play along LeBron and AD? I don't know if that's enough to do that. Because the Lakers don't really have any more assets to make a trade. That's the only major issue.
Yeah, they are kind of hamstrung on that. And there was that initial report that they didn't clear up enough space on the AD trade. How did they clear that up? Because they were saying that if you execute the trade before a certain date, you'd have room for 3 max players, but that wasn't clear. What was the resolution with that? Do you remember? Because I forget.
Wait. The Lakers do have an ability to basically max out a third player $32 million.
Okay.
And then sign a player at the mid-level too. So the Lakers do have some flexibility with what they can do. It's just a matter at this point right now. Is Iguodala going to get bought out by Memphis? Because if he does, expect him to wind up in Los Angeles with the Lakers.
Oh, that would be interesting. That would be very interesting. Maybe a good fit too. Good veteran leadership, presence.
Yeah.
Good value.
That's what I'm talking about. You got Iguodala at the veteran minimum. And you can start piecing together that roster. But right now, their hands are tied because they don't know what Kawhi is going to do. I tend to think Kawhi will sign with the Lakers at this point. I just have this weird feeling that it's going to happen. I'm not positive. Don't take anything I say for just for what it is. I don't have any inside information on this. I just tend to think he's going to sign there.
I feel like it's going to happen,
I'm usually
too.
pretty right about this. If
think
I were Kawhi, I'd re-sign in Toronto. But listen, once a guaranteed third championship, sign with the Lakers. It's a guarantee.
Right.
It's like when Durant signed with the Warriors, we all knew the next day it was like a funeral procession in Cleveland. It was. I remember exactly where I was when Durant signed with the Warriors. I was at Trader Joe's right around July 4th with my mom, and I remember he signed there, and I go, we're done. I go, it was nice while it lasted, but there's no way we can overcome the Warriors with Durant.
And that was true.
I knew it.
Yeah. I remember where I was.
And don't forget that 17 Cavs team was even better than the 16 team.
Yep. We were even better. The Kyle Korver and, the surrounding players were just, it was lights out. It was a smooth run, except for KD and the Warriors. What he did to block us from what we should have had. That pure revenge on the Warriors for 2015.
That's what I'm getting at. You stick LeBron now with Davis and with Kawhi, and let's just say Iguodala's on that team, and let's just say they re-sign Rondo, okay?
Right.
They're going to virtually be unbeatable.
If healthy, and that's where it always comes in. I guess that's the wild card for any team in any circumstance, always. But, these are players. Kawhi missed a whole season. LeBron had his first significant injury. AD's had his injuries. I don't know. mid-career LeBron, I mean, he was literally Superman. Nothing could impact that guy. I've never seen anybody take such abuse and tweaks and weird landings and elbows to the face, and it just, I've seen it all. But every Father Time is undefeated. So, that's something to consider, and that's one of my main reservations about the Nets. We'll see what happens with the Lakers. I also kind of tend to think that Kawhi is going to come back. I remember the day when
another thing I could see, I mean, here's another problem, too, with the Lakers. Now, the Lakers have no more assets. They can't even go and acquire Kevin Love at this point because they have nothing to give up.
All their picks are gone.
That's the problem. They don't have any young players left on the roster to even trade to Cleveland for Kevin Love. So that's where the Lakers' problem comes in. If they don't, they're literally putting all their dice, they're putting all their money on one hand. It's like playing the roulette wheel and betting $100 one time and saying, okay, we're going all in Kawhi. If we don't get him, we're screwed. We get him, we win the championship. There's a 50-50 shot at this point. It's almost like a hand of blackjack. Like you're putting all your cards in one hand, or you're going all in, calling someone else's bluff in poker, and you're taking a risk. But if they do get Kawhi, game over. They've got the next 2 to 3 championships on hand.
Yeah,
and you're going to see a bunch of good players signing there for the veteran minimum because they want to play there.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of players.
And win a title.
There are a lot of players.
We witnessed it with Golden State. We witnessed it with Miami. We witnessed it with Cleveland.
Yeah.
You witness guys taking less than their market value to sign at these places, so they can win a title. You witnessed it with Sean Livingston, Raja Bell, Shane Battier, Ray Allen. You witnessed it in Cleveland too. Guys like Mo Williams in 16 came to play for basically nothing. Just so they could be on a title team.
Mike Miller, Shaquille O'Neal.
Sean Marion did it.
Sean Marion, yeah. Yeah, a lot of...
But you witness guys that could get more money for market value in the open market, and they don't do it because they want to win a title. JaVale McGee. You witness it all the time with guys doing it. DeMarcus Cousins took a 1-year, $5 million deal at the mid-level to sign in Golden State so he could win a title in rehab. That's what I'm getting at. There's a point now, where, and I think the Lakers still could wind up with Boogie Cousins.
Right.
I don't think Cousins makes that big impact on the game, though. I don't think, let's say the Lakers hypothetically strike out on Kawhi. Replacing him with Boogie Cousins does not make them the favorite in the West. I just don't think DeMarcus can catch up to today's game. I think he's slow, and, I think we witnessed that during the finals. At some points he looked good, but, again, that's not a player that's going to get you, that's going to put you over the top. I think we realized the center, if DeMarcus Cousins in the 90s, 80s even, that's a player that could really help put you over the top. But in today's NBA, we witness centers just don't do it.
Yeah. The game has changed. The league has changed. He'd obviously be a good player to have on your team as opposed to having a complete league veteran, a league minimum player that doesn't have nearly as much to offer. He'll get you rebounds. He'll give you some sort of energy and wildness out there. At least as a 7, 8, or 9 man, it would be helpful.
Here's another thing too: is look at the Lakers. The Lakers aren't going to take a max at Chris Paul for 4 more years either, away from Houston. Houston, I think, would be willing to give up Paul for just about nothing. But I know if they strike out, LeBron will want Chris Paul. But I'm told the Lakers don't want Chris Paul unless he's on a minimum contract. Wow. They don't want to pay him.
Yeah. Well, who's calling the shots is the question. Is it LeBron or is it whoever's running that front office? Because it's not magic. It's all in flux. So we'll see how it shakes out. LeBron essentially handpicks. He knows how to put together the team. He knows, this is how I play. If you want me, I'll do it. But, we have to run the schemes that we know. Magic tried to do something different. He thought he was smarter. And that was, I don't know, it turned out to be the wrong decision. But then again, if LeBron doesn't get injured, maybe this all plays out very differently. I guess, seriously, it's all pretty much contingent upon, obviously Kawhi Leonard. But I wanted to ask you about the Utah Jazz. Are they enough to be in that upper echelon in the West?
I think they're up there now. Yes, I do. I do believe they're up there. But, again, if it comes down to them playing, I think they're right up there almost with the Nuggets now. When you add guys like Mike Conley, Utah has significantly improved their roster this season. Conley's a huge upgrade over Rubio. Huge.
Absolutely. And, I don't know. I get a good feeling about what they're building over there. I mean, we saw it with the Celtics. You know, they didn't have the superstar, but they had Brad Stevens a couple years ago, and the system worked. And it's possible that the Jazz might just be flying under the radar and might have a chance to come out of that thing. You know, depending on injuries, and you have to play the actual games. You know, this stuff isn't decided in July, but I know it feels like it now. Well, look, man, we're pretty much all waiting on Kawhi Leonard to see what happens. Any other final thoughts on Summer League? Are you catching any games? Who cares? Any other free agents that you expect to...
Another addition to Utah I totally forgot about was Bogdanovich from Indiana, who just remembered the playoffs a year ago, clobbered the Cats.
Right.
Another under-the-radar addition that would have been a perfect fit for the LA Lakers if they don't get Kawhi Leonard. So that's what you're seeing. You're seeing all these guys come off the books. People aren't waiting for Kawhi. You know, and that's why the Lakers are in a holding pattern right now, where if they get Kawhi, again, game over. If not, it's a wide-open field. I think Utah has a very good chance to beat. I think Utah's current roster would beat the current Lakers. But again, like you said, you add Kawhi to that roster, it changes up the dynamics of everything around the NBA. It takes away the Raptors from being a contender, which puts Milwaukee at the forefront of the East. If somehow Durant returns during the season next year, then the Nets are up there. But I think right now, next year's team, let's say if Kawhi's gone, is Milwaukee and Boston and Philadelphia. Milwaukee, Philadelphia, then Boston, and then Brooklyn. I think that's how the East would shape out. I think the West at this point, let's just say the Lakers are as is, because we've already talked with them with Kawhi what they would do. And there's no reason to even talk about the West if that's the case. But if Kawhi's not in LA next year, I think Portland's going to be improved. I think Utah's significantly improved. I think Houston has regressed because Houston knows that they couldn't get over the hump with that roster, and they need to do something, and they need to make a big move. But, Paul's an untradeable contract. They didn't get Jimmy Butler like they thought. They didn't get Tobias Harris. They didn't get Al Horford. They didn't get any of the big guys like they wanted. They didn't even get J.J. Redick. They couldn't trade Eric Gordon. I think another fun team to watch, I don't think they're going to be great, but I think they're going to be a blast to watch, are the New Orleans Pelicans. They added Zion. They added Derek Favors. They added Ingram. They added Lonzo Ball. Obviously, they added J.J. Redick. I think that's one of those teams next year where you could see an improved Pelicans team without Anthony Davis because, again, it's addition by subtraction. I think Davis is a hell of a player, and I think he's really, 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 really good. But I think they they sorely lack a bench. They lack so much, and now you look at New Orleans, they're a very deep team, and they've got a lot of talent. They're going to be one of those teams that are really, really fun to watch.
And maybe even in that, they might be able to jump into that playoff / mid-playoff team?
A late playoff team, if they do. I don't see them being a playoff team, but you never know. It's entirely possible.
A lot of players with stuff to prove and a lot of hype coming into the league, a lot of energy. Then you have some veterans mixed in. I mean, it is an interesting blend over there. And, Griffin, you love David Griffin as far as someone who gets to play Sim City with the NBA franchises, and you see what his plan is. It looks interesting. It looks instantly competitive, and the cabinets are stocked. Look what they were able to do so quickly. It's pretty impressive.
Exactly.
Obviously,
and I love Griff. I'm happy for him. I'd love to see the Pelicans do well. I think it'd be fun. They're a small market team. Griff has come in there, and look what he's done to the roster in one season.
Right. One season. And it takes a game plan. You have to trust the process, as the Sixers like to say. All right, here's my final question, Zach, and I appreciate your time. If you guys want to follow him on Twitter, he's at Zak Baris. That's ZBARIS. Zach, final question for you, and we're all hinging on what happens with Kawhi. Let's talk about the players that have got their contracts together versus Kawhi and then the remaining. Can you explain to me in a nutshell, having had the inner workings and behind the curtains, if you will, kind of understanding how the sausage is made, with the collective bargaining agreements and the restrictions and who can collude or get their deals in place beforehand, why are some teams so quick on the first day to make big decisions, big-time players, big-time moves, and then why are some other players seemingly approaching it for the first time going, oh, I guess I'll take some meetings? why does it seem like some players have everything lined up at the drop of a hat to put their card in and make the selection, while others are like, all right, let's wait and see now, let's look around? What's behind that differentiation?
Some players during the season already know where they want to go, what they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, look at Durant. Durant already know what he wanted to do. Kyrie knew what he wanted to do. You know, it was pretty obvious a couple months ago that those two were teaming up somewhere in New York. You just didn't know which New York team. And I don't think they knew which New York team, but I think they knew they were going to New York.
Mm-hmm. And
so
it
that's, was that simple.
That's that relationship. But then you have, like the Jimmy Butler deal, it quasi-complicated, right? You had 4 teams involved and trying to, or was that Whiteside? It's all moving pretty fast. But it just seems like some teams are really quick to make things happen, and then others, I wonder how much of this is the agents working with the front offices in a way that's proper versus improper, or it's just the way it's always going to happen. Some people want to lock in their deal while it's still available.
Some people want to lock in their deals. Other people want to wait. I mean, I think Kawhi had every intention of leaving Toronto, and then he won a title, and then it was, okay, let's give it a few more days. Let's see. Maybe it would be worth returning here, or maybe it's just too soon. Maybe I'm not ready to make my decision 2 days into it. Maybe I want to rethink it. Maybe I was all prepared to go to L.A., or I was prepared to go here. Something changed with another player. I'm going to rethink my decision now, and maybe I'll wait a couple days. I just won a championship 2 weeks ago. I don't need to make my decision. I can go wherever I want, and either team I play for next year is going to be in the championship. That's how I look at it from Kawhi.
And you might not be wrong at all. Maybe the favorites if he's on the Raptors. Maybe the favorites if he's on the Lakers. I don't know. Hey, let's put him in a Knicks jersey for just for the heck of it. No, it would be interesting to see him on the Clippers. I was really starting to kind of anticipate this crosstown rivalry between Kawhi and LeBron and having this. And I guess it still is an option, but you know what? For now,
he's already informed the Clippers, from my understanding, that he's not going to the Clippers.
Okay, so it's basically just a 2-team.
It's Lakers, Raptors at this point.
Okay.
And here's the thing. It's like, here's the thing. Whenever a player is waiting to announce their decision, let me put it this way. When has a player ever waited in their lifetime on a decision that they're going to be returning back to their previous team? Seriously. We've witnessed it with LeBron. Every time he's made a decision, it's when he decided that he was going to return to Cleveland, he waited. Then when he was in Cleveland, he announced it right away that he was staying on a 2-year deal. He wasn't exploring free agency at all. Then it was last year, you knew he was gone because he had automatically pulled down all of his Cavs stuff. He was making a decision. The decision was already made to go to L.A. He was just waiting. That's the thing is I tend to think Kawhi is gone. If he was going to stay in Toronto, I think he would have already just said, I'm staying in Toronto. Players don't wait when they make decisions in free agency. Kevin Durant, same thing, was announcing his decision. We all knew it wasn't going to be in Golden State. He was gone. I think Golden State's had a better chance of resigning him after the Achilles injury, but nope, he had already one foot out the door. He knew where he was going all along.
Well, Kawhi coming back home, being from the Los Angeles area, how much of a factor is that going to play? How important is that for people like Kyrie, for LeBron, for legacy?
The Lakers have been a train wreck of an organization now for 9 years, okay? The Cavaliers were a train wreck of an organization when LeBron left. Train wreck, total train wreck when LeBron left. LeBron came back, suddenly everything was good. The Lakers screwed up last year trying to go against the norm and pairing LeBron with shooters. They struck out in free agency even with LeBron last year. The Lakers just have not been a strong brand. If they do somehow strike out on Kawhi, they are effed. They are so screwed if they don't land Kawhi Leonard.
It's going to be a lot of talent and a lot of barking.
But I tend to think at this point, if Kawhi has not made his decision yet, that's very good news for the Lakers. Very good news.
All right. Well, and then you see, he's wearing a Toronto Blue Jays jersey on vacation. That's very good for Toronto. That's what makes this interesting. And Kawhi has always been one of those players that you have a hard time reading the tea leaves. We always knew when LeBron was being passive-aggressive. We always knew, he'd send out the cryptic tweets and the veiled messages, and that's how he would play his game. But Kawhi's just been this weird, quiet wild card with an interesting laugh for many years, and now he's stepped into his own. He's in the upper echelon of all-time great NBA players in the history of this game. He's there. He's earned it. what he did in Toronto, what he did is the LeBron stopper with the Spurs. He has literally no F's left to give, nothing left to prove. He can just keep playing his game and playing it the way he wants to. And I don't fault any of these guys for playing it how they want to at this point. I'm starting to understand it and see it a little differently. Hey, Father Time being undefeated, why not team up with some players? Kawhi being injured, LeBron being injured, Anthony Davis having injuries. Seeing what happened to KD and Kyrie and Klay Thompson. Nothing is guaranteed in this league, man. You have a finite amount of years to make an impact. Maybe go to a place where you don't have to work as hard. I understand it. And I'm just going to be very curious to see what Kawhi does. Being the king of the North, what he did. I wouldn't be surprised if he took a one-in-one deal, with player options, maybe come back and see if they can run it back one more time, especially with the Warriors not being at full strength, and before the Brooklyn Nets have a chance to improve, and seeing how the Bucks went down.
Hey, Brian, I have to take this. It's a work call.
To be continued. I appreciate it, Zach.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah, we were wrapping up right there anyhow. But yeah, that was just my final point, was that nothing Kawhi Leonard does is going to be surprising to me at this point. Not a single thing. I'm just curious to see how it shakes out. I miss the days where the Cavaliers are competing for championships, obviously. But the rebuild is part of the process. So link up with us, The Unhappy Hour Sports Show, a support group. YouTube.com/TheNewAmericanMedia. Click subscribe. On Twitter, we're at, what is it? At TheUnhappyHour_. We're trying to take all of the sports and put them into a sports-only category. And so that's on Twitter at TheUnhappyHour_. And the new channel, we got to get a few subscribers. So we'll link it, find our other channel, go over to it, so then we can name it and get it running from there. I appreciate you guys. Special thanks to Zak Baris. Go Cavs. Talk to you in a few. Peace.
It's the Unhappy Hour.